Hey everybody, this is Dave here at Pulp Alley, and today we're going to talk about how to make your own bases, your own flying stands for tabletop gaming. So we had some questions about these bases that I put together for Peter Pan here and Tinkerbell and this Harpy. So they're just one of our Super Inviso bases with an acrylic rod glued on there. And the modern miniatures, there's so much plastic, there's so much resin out there. Those thin rods wouldn't really work for an old classic miniature. Here's a big, hefty 3, 4 ounce miniature. This thing needs something a little more sturdy to hold it up, but that's still cool. This is still a base that I basically scratch built here. It's got an 1/8 inch acrylic rod, and then the base is made out of metal washers, layered up, and then some stucco on there. So, really cool. Also, when you make your own bases, you can kind of have fun with how tall you make them as well. So here's a nice big base, pretty tall. It's got a pterodactyl sitting up on top of it there. Now, it's not even glued on there because I like having my bases used on multiple things. So I have about, a half dozen or a dozen of these bases. And then I can just put whatever I want on there and call it good. If you're going to do a nice tall base like this, you definitely want to use an 1/8 inch acrylic rod or even something bigger. Here's a 1/4 inch acrylic rod here on this one. So it's nice when you make your own and you leave the miniatures loose because you could swap them out and put other things on there. But we wanted to talk about mainly today is making our own, and I'm going to show you real quickly the process that I used. I used these acrylic rods. You can get this stuff off of the interwebs. You can get just about anything off the interwebs these days. Here is the 16th inch acrylic rod. I looked it up on the internet just before I started this video. You can get a bunch of this stuff even off of Amazon for a relatively low price. And then this is the 1/8 inch acrylic rod here. What we're going to use today is this 16th inch. And let's make a flying stand for a shark because, a shark needs to fly. So the first thing we'll do is put a hole in our shark. We're going to put a little nice 16th inch hole in him. All right. Trim that a little bit. Just make sure. So there is my 16th inch hole in my shark. It's a lot easier doing 16th inch holes than it is 1/8 inch holes. And oftentimes on miniatures, a 16th inch hole is a lot more preferable too, or a lot easier to find a spot to put it in. This miniature here is a good example. If I was trying to use an 1/8 inch acrylic rod, it would actually be pretty tough to find a spot to glue that in. The same way with Peter here. For snipping this stuff, you can use just about anything you have. All you want to do is make sure you have a nice straight cut. Don't finesse it. Just give it a good snap, and there it goes. So the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to glue it down to this base. I like to use super glue, just regular old super glue. In this case, it's Gorilla, but whatever super glue you have is fine. I also want to make sure I have a Instaset or an accelerator of some sort to zap that super glue and make sure it sets up really fast. In this case, I'm using Bob Smith Industries Instaset. Also, I don't like this spray top that they come with. I switch it over to a little needle applicator. All right. So I'm going to double check my end and make sure that I have it nice and flat. You want a nice flat end on it. Look at that. That looks pretty good. But in case you need to, you can always file it down a little bit just to make sure you have a nice flat bottom on that because flat bottoms make the world go round. Then I'm going to put a little dab of glue on it, and I actually want a fairly decent dab here. I'm going to try to put a little bit more than I really need because I want it to form a little bit of a barrier around it. So there it is, and then I'm going to get ready to place it. and I'm going to set it down and I'm going to zap it. And that is the acrylic rod stuck on there. Next thing I'm going to do is just soak up that excess. And I left a little bit of a burr right there around the bottom of the acrylic rod there. And that kind of helps hold it in place. Now we're going to stick this up in our shark. And there we have our flying shark. Plastic miniatures, they don't need huge flying stands, you know. This works perfectly well. I can remove it very easily. The hole is nice and deep. 16th inch holes work so much better than 8th inch holes, in my opinion, and in most stuff. But you can see that there's a little bit of a slant to that rod. You know, you want to make sure you try to get that rod as straight as possible, and there I have my shark I can move around the table. Vroom, doo, 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 doo. How's that baby shark song go? I don't remember. All right, something like that. Anywho, if you have questions about this, leave them down in the comments while you're at it. Make sure you get subscribed to our little channel. Hit the like button and the bell, and we're going to see you next time. Bye, everybody.